Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butts, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
In a nice way. Yeah, so what we do is we try to infuse like our local ingredients with the international ingredients.
So like give me an example. Give me a good example.
Exactly. Yeah. Like a good example, yeah. I can make like a nice beef tornado steak.
Okay.
Yeah. So but the beef now, I can coat it probably with nicely marinated and stuff. I can probably marinate it and coat it with pumpkin seeds.
Okay.
Pumpkin seeds is purely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you see, like the way you probably like do like a herb roasted steak.
Yes,
or
exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
So then that's your take on.
Exactly.
Hi everyone, you're listening to Item 13 podcast and I'm your host, Yom Tego. Every week, we'll delve into the world of African food, including chefs, curators, and bloggers. I hope you enjoy it. This week, I speak to Chef Zablon Rubia, who describes culinary arts as his passion first and profession second. He has always been fascinated by the art of cooking and has come to believe in the power of food to bring people of all walks of life together. He says he's been privileged throughout his career, attending the best culinary school in Kenya and having his fair share of 5-star hotel experiences. Chef Rubia has local Kenyan and international hotel experience, traveled to different continents, and worked with some of the best celebrity chefs in the world. I met Chef Rubia while he was visiting Accra. We not only spent time talking about his work in Kenya and abroad, but he took some time in the kitchen to teach me some Kenyan favorites, including chapati and pilau, which is a fragrant East African rice pilaf. Highlights of our kitchen time are on the Item 13 podcast Instagram page. Now here's our conversation. So welcome to the show, Chef Rubia. I'm happy to speak to you. Excited for you to join us for Item 13.
Thank you for the interview.
And welcome to Ghana, actually.
Thank you
to
very
Accra.
much. Thank you so much.
How are you finding it so far?
So far, so good. I love the Ghanaian people.
Okay.
They are friendly and all that. The only problem is the heat. Too much heat. The weather is a little bit tricky.
But this is supposed to be a cooler time of the year for us, I think.
This is nothing cooler compared to where I come from. This is like extreme.
And I'm sure you've tried our food already, right? What do you think? I know my Kenyan friends don't like spice, so I'm guessing it's the same for you.
I think the food is okay. The only problem is the pepper. I think you guys are overdoing the pepper. But besides that, I think it's good.
Yeah.
So far, so good. Yeah.
All right, good. So today we're going to talk a lot about you, the work you do in Nairobi.
Yep.
And then broadly speaking, African food, Afrofusion.
Yes.
And the work that you are doing to bring African food to a global platform, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up, and sort of your influences.
Okay, so my full names are Rubia Zablon, but most people know me as Chef Rubia. That's my brand name. I was born in Kenya, place called Mombasa, town called Mombasa, and then after some time we relocated to Nairobi when I was like 8-9 years old. Okay. So I would say I grew up mostly in Nairobi. So my inspiration of being a chef, I got it from my father. My father was a chef. He's still a chef.
Oh, so it's in the family
so like
tree.
father, like son kind of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I used to see him when I was in primary and high school. He used to come. Sometimes we like decide, let me spoil my family. He will cook like Oriental rice.
Okay.
Rice, pineapples, we tell us and stuff. I'm like, how do you think? How do you like know exactly what to put and how to put the amount and stuff?
Yeah.
So the interest began to come.
Okay.
So one day we'll come also fix burgers, and I'm like, how do you make the burgers so that all the meat stick together? Through observing my father's footsteps and all that he's been doing, the amazing food that he's been making for us, I developed an interest in food.
Okay.
But it wasn't like in my mind to do it as a profession.
Okay.
I just love good food and stuff. I was a gourmet in a way from a very long time.
Yeah.
So immediately after high school, I wanted to study business administration.
Okay.
That was my
And make
focus.
money.
Exactly, yeah. That was my main focus.
Okay.
But in the amidst all time I was at home waiting to be admitted to university and stuff, one of my father who was a chef. He usually used to come at home and visit her. So he was like, why are you staying at home doing nothing? You can come. I give you something to be doing instead of just sitting around. And then once your papers come, now you can go study whatever to study. So he took me up as an apprentice in the kitchen. So I basically started from scratch, from steward, washing utensils, being sent to bring equipments and ingredients and stuff. That's how I started up. I did that for like a month. And then they told me, you want more knowledge? We can switch you from the department to maybe a cook in the kitchen where you'll be probably chopping stuff and everything. And that's how I progressed, So later as I progressed, after like 6 months down the line, I felt like, I think this is not a bad thing to do.
So for the 6 months, you were still waiting for your papers?
Exactly,
Okay.
for my paper to arrive.
Okay.
So I was like, I think it's a good thing to do because I think I began to love what I was doing. I was meeting like different people. I was doing magic on the place, No, I could understand what my father was doing, So when the papers came, I had a choice of whether to stop whatever I was doing, go to university, do my BA degree, or to proceed with my apprentice for like 6 more months for 1 year, and then after I'm done with the 1 year, I go to culinary school and further my studies.
Okay.
So I decided, you know what, I think I'll prefer to stick to food.
Oh, interesting. And your dad, well, because he was a chef, I'm sure that was an easy decision to make, because I think a lot of African parents would rather you do something that they think will give you money, being a doctor, lawyer, business person, versus actually going to cook.
So I think what actually motivated me is just what you said. I saw my father like brought our family, gave us all everything that we will need, all by being a chef. So I decided, you know what, I think I can pick it up from where my father is at right now, and probably take it even more further, take it a notch higher, than do the thing that probably he didn't do.
Okay, so where did you go to culinary school?
I went to college in Kenya.
Okay.
Well known for the best culinary school in Kenya. It's called Kenya Utalii College. So I went and did my 2 years culinary art studies. So we cover pastries and all the other things.
Oh, so you do the wide range of not just cooking, but
not just
also
cooking.
baking and
It's
pastries.
everything because it's a theory and practical.
Okay.
So it's thorough because it's for 2 years. So it's thorough as in very, very deep.
Right.
So after that, I went for my intern in Mombasa still, in a place called Mombasa Beach. And then I came back to Nairobi. I was looking for employment. I was able to pitch employment for a few hotels, 5-star hotels, like 3-4 places I've done. Okay. And then later, I got an opportunity to go to the US, Miami, Florida, to work in a cruise ship.
Oh my gosh! Wow, one of those Royal Caribbean
celebrity cruise line. It's all under the Royal Caribbean.
Oh, nice. So where did you cruise to? Your cruise ships?
In most parts of the world. The good thing about the job here, you get to travel a lot. You get to meet a lot of people.
Oh, that's awesome.
This time, maybe for like 3-4 months, you're sailing in Europe. The next 4 months you're sailing in the US.
Yeah.
The next ones you're sailing in the Caribbean.
Exactly.
So you're always like moving around and stuff.
Oh my goodness.
In different countries, meeting different people and learning also. because you get to
Do you ever
interact.
get seasick, or you don't feel that in a big ship?
Yeah, you do actually, because
okay.
sometimes the ship goes in deep waters. So deep waters, of course, the waves are quite strong. Yeah? So you feel it, but the good thing, they normally have seasick pills.
Okay, so
they have like dispensers everywhere, corridors and stuff.
Actually, and even for the passengers also. Right?
Exactly. So in case you're feeling funny, you feel like you want to throw up or something, just go grab the pill and then take it and subside.
So what was it like cooking on the cruise ship? Were you able to influence some of the way food was cooked in terms of bringing your own Kenyan flavor to it, or was it like there's a set menu and this is what we are cooking and you were doing it more for the experience and for learning rather than, this is my time to throw in my African flavor, a little bit of both?
No, in terms of creativity and adding on the ideas, it wasn't there because it was like a fixed menu, fixed standards. You have to operate with the exactly with whatever is supposed to be there. So it was kind of limiting, in terms of creativity. And that is, but it was kind of good also. I was learning their own concepts and ideas in terms of presentation, in terms of finesse, and in terms of flavors and taste as a professional chef. But later now onwards, that's one of the reasons I decided to leave cruise ship and come focus on a few things because it was restricting in a way. I felt like I wasn't implementing my ideas. I was kind of locked.
Yeah, so then let's talk about that. When you left the cruise ship, what was the bridge between doing cruise ship and then starting Chef Rubia's Kitchen, which is your big baby, if you will?
It was hard actually, because when I left cruise ship, I think I didn't have a way forward of exactly what I wanted to do. So I just came home, I'm like, I know what, I'm fed up with this cruise ship life. Let me go back home and think what I can do. So when I was at home, I'm there now planning, now I'm applying for jobs and stuff. I'm getting invites for interviews and even offers. But now the offers, you see, they're not up to whatever I was expecting. And I'm like, you know what, this offer that I'm given, if I put my experience, knowledge and skills, and I have a plan, I can actually make the money that I'm being paid in 1 month. I can make it in a day.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what motivated the whole idea of Chef Rubia's Kitchen. So I decided. So I sat down by myself and decided, let me come up with a plan. So what's the plan forward now? Probably I can do this and this and this and this. And now like Chef Rubia came through, gradually opened up my pages and engaged people. The reception, of course, for the start, it was hesitant, But as people, But as I did more functions and stuff, and people will see like this guy and these ideas actually cutting across many people, and it's working out. Now that's when the reception now changed. Guys started accepting it, and I was making it by getting events, and by paying my bills.
Okay, good. Yeah. So I understand that your focus is international gourmet cuisine.
Yep.
We'll get into that and how you do the fusion, but let's start with native Kenyan food, right? So for people that are listening that are not familiar with Kenyan food, what would you describe, how would you describe Kenyan food to them? Like, what are their staples? Like, I know from my Kenyan friends that, there's ugali, chapati, nyama choma, exactly.
Kachumbari and all that.
So let's talk to the audience here about what Kenyan food is like, because I suspect most of the people listening are, at least for now, mostly West Africans. Yeah. So they are familiar with Ghanaian, Nigerian food, but not necessarily East African food or Kenyan food. So we mentioned ugali, for example, as a staple. For me, it reminds me of banku, right? So it's a cornmeal, exactly. Yeah. Why don't you can explain it better?
Basically, the food culture in Kenya is quite diverse, as because we like 42 different tribes in Kenya. So you can imagine in each and every tribe, they have their own food culture. So if you take all those food cultures and try to merge them up, of course you have so many varieties. But simply, the most like our staple food, like what you said, it's ugali. And depending on which country of Kenya you come from, other like from the coastal parts, they like anything to do with rice. From like our pilau, it's a version of jollof rice. So pilau to biryani to anything to do with rice.
And you guys also have the Indian influence, right? Because chapati is more like naan bread for the Indians.
Exactly, yeah.
And I remember when I lived in South Africa, one of my close Kenyan friends, her mom came to visit, and she made the best chapati, homemade chapatis, like absolutely amazing. I think you have to teach me that before
no problem. So I think the reason could be, during the colonial period and stuff,
right.
Mombasa was a port which was liked by mostly Indians and Arabs, because the shipping of spices and stuff, that's where we have the port.
Okay.
So through that, I think the locals infused their food culture, and even not even food culture alone, even language.
Okay.
I find like Swahili is more of Arabic in terms of a few words and
Oh,
stuff.
interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, like in Swahili, if someone wants to say like hi, say assalamu alaikum, it's
no, really.
Yeah, true. That's
never heard of that. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it was like a few things the locals picked from the Arabic, and then they turned them into their own. Same thing in terms of the designs of houses, in terms of their dress code and all that, kanzus and the hijab and all that.
Right,
that is right. Yeah. And also now the food culture.
Yeah, I actually never thought about that. But yeah, I always wondered about the Indian influences with the curries and the chapatis and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back then to what you do with Chef Rubia's Kitchen. How do you come up with, we talked about the fact that you really like Afrofusion. You also do a lot of international gourmet.
Yeah.
How do you come up with the flavors and the menu for what you do with Chef Rubia? And how do you think intentionally about including local cuisine and flavors to the food that you make?
So basically what I normally do, I like our food culture, African, not Kenyan only, but our African food culture. Right. And I think it's not proper, it doesn't have like the proper platform for it to be accepted and that kind of a thing. So what we normally do as chefs, as professional chefs, we try to bring it out for the world to see. But you can't bring out everything. Like I can't make like offals and fufu and give people to try.
So you need to think about how you present it
in a nice way. Yeah. So what we do is we try to infuse like our local ingredients with the international ingredients.
So give me an example. Give me a good example.
Exactly. Yeah. Like a good example. I can make like a nice beef tornado steak.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can. But the beef now, I can coat it probably with nicely marinated and stuff. I can probably marinate it and coat it with pumpkin seeds. Okay. Pumpkin seeds purely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you see like the way you probably like do like a herb roasted steak or whatever. Yeah.
So then that's your take on...
Exactly. Yeah. So I can do it with pumpkins.
Okay.
And then for the sauce, it can be African.
Yeah.
It can be like derived from even mafe or anything or Swahili sauce. And then for the starch, I can actually do like a plantain, but I do like
So I'll ask you that when you finish.
Most people like eat plantain when they boil, roast, or that's. Yeah. But you can't. So we, as a chef, we try to be creative.
Okay.
So you can also probably serve it with like a croquet. Most people eat croquets of potatoes, but not make a croquet of plantain. Yeah.
So you speak of plantain, and also takes me back to my East African friends who always have this discussion about plantain versus banana when we talk about matoke, right?
Yeah, matoke.
So I always have this argument with them that matoke is actually plantain and it's not banana. So maybe you can set the record straight here. Is it banana or is it plantain?
No, I think from where I come from, they're two different things.
Okay.
Because plantain is what you guys have, sweet and stuff like that.
And very starchy.
Exactly, very starchy, yeah. And matoke is totally a different thing.
Interesting.
So actually, like, matoke is, it's like, what can I say? It's a plant on its own.
Interesting. So it's not plantain. Then.
It's not plantain.
It's like,
it's not plantain, yeah.
Okay, so I
so
guess
I've
lost that argument.
So they're two different things.
Interesting. I always argued back that it was plantain. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then I was actually going to ask you also, what are Kenyans' reactions to your fusion of local food with international food? Because there are people that have different reactions to Afrofusion, right? There are people that think, don't mess with our authentic food, like keep it as it is. If other people won't try, then it's their loss. Like, why are we trying to make it palatable to a different audience? They should sort of change their palate to us and vice versa. What are your thoughts on that? Or do Kenyans have a strong reaction to that? Because I know on West African social media platforms, when we see food bloggers do crazy things with what we are familiar with, you'll find a lot of people getting upset about it. But I don't know if you have the same reaction.
No. In Kenya, actually, it's not so much. Okay. People embrace the idea. Because, I think most people are used to eating our local food in certain ways. If it's matoke, example, you have to stew it, roast it, or fry it or something, So when they see you're changing the same food that they're used to into something else that's much more better and acceptable, not only to them, but also to people outside our country, they feel like they appreciate.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they appreciate. So I get a lot of support in terms, because I do like pop-up dinners once in a while, where the theme is actually Afrofusion. Basically, I infuse our local foods with the international food, and the reception is good. Okay. Yeah, people appreciate it.
Good. Yeah. That's good for you. So, you speaking of pop-ups that you do in Nairobi, how have you grown? And then you also spoke earlier about a slow start, but now people are more accepting and aware of what you're doing. How have you grown your client base from when you started to now? What are the sort of practical things that you do? So if someone has a food business, what are the things they should think about in terms of getting new clients and growing that client base and making them loyal customers?
I think first of all, you need to have like a niche of who your clientele, who your clientele target is. So once you have that, it will be easy for you to drive whatever your ideas want to drive. Because you can't go sell, gourmet, fine dining ideas to average people who don't understand the concept. So I think first you need to have like a cutting point of this is who my target clientele are, and this is the service that think is going to work for them, and then push it. But like before I came to that, I tried a lot of businesses before. I used to do catering, like weddings and parties and all that. But I didn't like it because it's demanding, and by the end of the day it's flooded with so many people. Because like what you said, food bloggers is YouTube. People go to YouTube, do this, and then they want to. So you find you're competing with people on a level that you're not supposed to be there, because I'm a professional chef. Okay. Probably you might be, you might be passionate about food, but that kind of a thing. So that motivated me to like change my ways of thinking and try to think more smart and that kind of a thing.
Okay. And then what do you enjoy most about running Chef Rubia's kitchen? You just talked about moving away from catering and all of that to focusing exclusively on that. So what do you enjoy most, and then also maybe what about it don't you enjoy as much?
What I enjoy most first is the fact that I bring people from different walks of life. Okay. Whether from the US or whatever, on the same table to come and have an experience of our food, and which is infused with the international food. That's the most thing I like about my job. And also, meeting people. I meet different people and interact through that, networking and all that. So life is much more easier because I know I have a network in Ghana I can talk to in case of anything, and life will be easier. But the thing that I don't like about it, dealing with people.
It's a two-sided coin, right? So you enjoy interacting with people, but also
dealing with people in the case that people are different with different backgrounds, beliefs, and all that, professions. So sometimes you might find clients who are so demanding, who wants to control you, that kind of a thing. That's the only thing. But since we've been there before, I've dealt with so many people, I know how to handle it.
Okay. All right, good. I think this is a good place to take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll dive more into the topic of running a food business in Kenya, what that landscape is like, some of what you've done with culinary consultations, and then more talk on Afrofusion. So we'll be right back, guys.
Cool, guys.
Okay, I'll have it on my resume that Okay, so welcome back from the break.
Thank you.
So now we'll delve specifically into what it's like to run a food business in Nairobi specifically. So let's start with talking about the challenges in running your Chef Rubia's kitchen in Nairobi? Like when I speak to Ghanaian food entrepreneurs, whether they are chefs doing their own thing or they own a restaurant, like a big issue in Accra and even in Nigeria also, Lagos, is the talent, the people. Yeah. We have problems with retention, with people's attitudes, etc. And I don't know if that translates also to the East. So when you think about running your business, you did mention that a little bit earlier when you talked about dealing with people. Yeah. And maybe if you stop and think, like, what are the top 3 things that you find most challenging about running your business that may or may not be specific to Nairobi or to Kenya? But
I think to narrow it down to 3 things. I think the first one will be getting people to believe into your ideas. Okay. You might have a good idea, but no, you can't tell if it's a good idea until you let it out. People try it and see, and then they give you feedback, and then that's when come progress. So I think that's a challenge, because most people are not exploitative in terms of new things, especially when it comes to food. If you're, like, for example, yourself, you're used to pepper. I give you food without pepper, then that's...
I would say that is true. Exactly. So even when I was telling her my friend's mom who made chapati for us, she also made, just for me, like a small pepper
on
thing
the side. That's what you do, use the chapati, yeah?
I can dip my chapati in because like she knows I like spicy stuff.
Yeah, so it's probably... We have a plan, people accepting it, of course. It will take time, right. But if you think you have the right plan, keep on pushing and things will open up. Yeah. Okay. The other problem I will say we have, it's a lot of competition. Competition is good, but now there's an unhealthy competition.
Interesting. In what ways?
In ways that you're a professional, and you're competing on people that are not professionals. Okay. You see, so you find. Probably you can have probably like the same menu. You're selling it probably for 30 CDs, and then there's another one who sells it for 5. Yeah. You see, so most people who don't understand quality, they'll go for. Right. So by the end of the day, you end up probably lowering your standards, so that you can, that kind of thing. And the third thing that I might say will be what, probably certification from the government, Okay. You need to open up like a restaurant and stuff, so many compliance and all that.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. And I wonder, maybe that's something to ask other Ghanaians when I speak to them. I wonder if that's strictly upheld in Ghana, because you have so many food establishments, but I don't know how strict or what the process is, if it's a robust process for getting your different certifications. I recently spoke to a food blogger now, Yokimoji, who has a background in food safety. Yeah. And she said from her experience, she doesn't think that a lot of these people have the right certifications. And so it's good to know that I know it probably hinders business a little bit, but at least it's good to know that that's a good
that's it's actually very much upheld in Kenya. You can't do any startup business without having the right paperwork, because if you do that, you'll get shut down.
So then let's go back to your second point about quality and standards and pricing. Yeah. Because we talked a lot about that when we did Africa Food Week in London recently, where we talked about pricing, quality, and making sure that our people actually understand what goes into the pricing of food. Yeah. So like you said, there's the standards and the quality that you're upholding. There's also a certain experience that you want the people that are coming to your pop-up or event to experience, right? And so you're factoring into that, let's say 30 CD price point, not just the cost of the ingredients, which is what people say, and like, oh my God, I can cook this X in my house for 5 CDs, but why are you charging me? Exactly, why are you charging me? But they don't know that you are getting, you are paying for labor, but then you're also getting higher quality ingredients. There's training that you're using to include techniques that may not be used by somebody else. What are your thoughts on that? And you mentioned a little bit in terms of competition and managing that, but how do you educate your client base and make sure that they understand that what you are delivering is of a different standard than what they would get elsewhere, and so it's worth paying the 30 quote-unquote CDs or Kenyan shillings.
Yeah, so now that's the biggest problem, the biggest challenge actually in the food industry, because most, like what you just explained, most people don't understand why will I pay probably 3 times the amount of money, and I can use probably less in my own house, But when we do things like pop-up, before we come up with a price, there are factors to consider.
Right.
There's the food cost factor. There's your markup profit, GP.
Yeah.
There's probably, I don't own my own restaurant.
Right. So the
I have
cost
to
of
hire,
relocation,
exactly, I have to hire maybe a restaurant or something, yeah? And when you come to it, you're not, it's an experience. The experience is not only the food on the table, it's about the ambience.
Right.
It's about even the chef, I'm giving my ideas to you guys and stuff. So there are a lot of factors to consider. It's not about the ingredients only. Because you might be looking on the ingredient part of it, but there's the food cost part of it, and there's the GP part of it, the product I'm supposed to make, and there are the other miscellaneous expenses, like what you say, labor, I need to pay people, I need to pay for the space, probably, maybe I've hired one or two things, that kind of a thing. So to counter that, I came to realize I won't be bending down low to meet people's targets, because by the end of the day, you keep on running, and by the end of the day, you have nothing taking at home. So I decided, I think I'll just come up straight, mark up my standards, my prices, my market and everything, and then
the people that value it
exactly will come here. So that's what I normally do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. And then on the flip side, what do you think works well, or is an advantage of working in Nairobi or in the food business that may not be, in other circumstances, for example? So we talked about the challenges that you face.
Yeah.
What are the advantages that you found in the Nairobi market and the Kenya market that people may not know or may not understand?
I think the most advantage is availability of the raw materials.
That's a really good one.
Exactly, because we have quite diverse ingredients in terms of vegetables, fruits, meat, and any other thing. So I think that's an advantage, because once availability is high, it means in terms of your costing and prices, at least it's reasonable. It won't go overboard.
Right. Yeah. And one of the conversations I had with someone else too for the podcast, we were talking about how we take that for granted in Africa across the board, that we have fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh staples,
fresh milk.
Exactly, all of that, fresh. Where people outside of the continent, are importing it from us and, paying X amount of money for it. And now the new trend, if you go out there, is organic. Yeah. And they're paying 3-4X for what we get, down the street or down the road. So that's actually a good point in terms of the advantages that we have. And then now let's switch gears a little bit to talk about the role of social media. One, how you've used it in promoting your business, and then your thoughts on how it's being used by food bloggers, YouTubers, etc. to promote African food, generally speaking.
I think social media so far for me is working out well, because I think the reason why we're here seated with you, right?
Actually, true.
Exactly. So it depends on what you do with it.
Right.
If you tend to focus on the right things and push your brand or products or whatever service you're trying to portray out there are people, of course, will see and they'll give you business. And in terms of visibility, it has given us a lot of advantages. In terms of, I can make my own Kenyan food, take a nice photograph and post it and share it around. And someone in, let's say, Miami, a friend of mine in Miami will like, oh, chef, I saw this, what is that, So it's a way of also learning from each other, because he'll see something good I've done, he'll ask, oh, chef, I saw this and this. So tell him I want to try that. What can I use? Same thing. I can see someone doing the same thing, probably from Europe, and I ask, oh, yeah, I saw this. Tell me what I can do. So whatever ingredients I have, I'll use. If I don't have, I'll improvise. If they have this, I can substitute and make it happen. But so far, I think social media is playing a good role, only if you use it in the right way.
Yeah, just like everything else. And then you are a little bit of a celebrity chef in Kenya, from my understanding. So you do a lot of TV work. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because there's been a rise in food TV, if you want to call it that, celebrity chefs, if you will. What role do you think it plays in sort of your business? Because I recently saw something from I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But he usually comes up on MasterChef Australia, and he just opened a restaurant. And there was an article where he was saying that the food critics, when they came, they all really liked the food, but then they also all said that they were surprised that the food was good because they see him as a celebrity first, then chef second. But meanwhile, he's like, I'm chef first.
Yeah.
So how do you balance that being on TV and cooking and then making sure that you're also still staying true to your
Relevant to my
craft?
profession.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I would say the same thing the chef said. I'm first of all a chef before a celebrity chef. Because if I wasn't a chef, probably I wouldn't be the second option. Yeah. So I think TV. I normally do the shows basically to make viewers learn and see how you can do good food at the comfort of your home. Okay. So I have a tagline that I normally use on TV. It's a simplified professional cooking. Okay. Yeah. So I just simplify all the process that we go through in a professional kitchen to something shorter that you can actually use it at the comfort of your own home. Okay. So it's basically showing the people at home you can have a nice steak and nice mashed potatoes or nice plantain or whatever without this big hassle. So that's basically it, yeah. Okay,
all right. And then what's next for Chef Rubia's Kitchen? So you do pop-ups, you're consulting, you do TV. Mm-hmm. If you think about the rest of 2018, 2019 onwards, what is your vision or what do you see that's coming up next for Chef Rubia's Kitchen?
As for the moment, I'm trying to... You see, if I'm pushing Afrofusion, I need to understand the African food. I need to understand what West Africans guys like. I need to understand South African, Central and everywhere. So at the moment, I'm just trying to travel a lot and learning because it's all about learning. Right. You never stop learning. Yeah. So I want to travel a lot, learn from each and every part of Africa, understand their food culture, so that when the platform is there, if I represent probably Africa in any other world or whatever, I can actually and comfortably say this is what to do, and I have the knowledge and experience. Yeah. So that's basically it. And soon I'm trying to work towards opening up my own restaurant, which is basically fine dining but Afrofusion. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'll be excited. Let me know when that comes up because I'm always looking for African fine dining, and there's not a lot. So
that's true.
You're definitely looking at the right space, I think.
Thank you, Marina.
Before we transition to the rapid fire questions, can you let us know where people can find you online, social media? What are your handles? What's your website?
Okay, so my website is www.chefrubia.com. That's where you'll find my profile and everything, some of the work that I've done. And on social media pages, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, Chef Rubia, and then you'll find me.
All right, cool. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go into the rapid fire segment of the interview. If you've been listening now for the last few sessions, you know how this works. I'll ask a question and you just let me know off the top of your head what your answer is.
And is there like a pass, like another thing?
I would prefer not, no. No. So, no. Okay, so let's start. You've had fufu, right?
Yes,
While you've been in Ghana. Okay, good. Yeah. So my first question, ugali or fufu?
Ugali.
Okay, buffet or a la carte?
A la carte.
Red wine or white wine?
Red wine.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Dine in or take out?
Dine in.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Morning person.
Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
And because you're in Ghana, I'm going to throw this at you. Ghana jollof or Niger jollof?
Ghana jollof. I don't want Ghanaians to, Ghana jollof.
Okay. Yeah. And then what's your biggest pet peeve?
My biggest?
Pet peeve. What annoys you the most? What is it that people do that annoys you?
I think not meeting deadlines.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then lastly, what's your favorite African restaurant and why? It can be anywhere in the world.
Favorite African restaurant? I would probably say Maika.
Okay.
It's a restaurant called Maika. It's in Kenya, in the leafy suburbs. The good thing it has a good reputation for serving and promoting local cuisine.
Okay.
And even tourists and people from different parts of the world come. They want to go visit the place.
Okay,
so I would say
they
that
do local.
they do
so
purely local.
Like ugali, nyama choma, all
Precisely,
of that stuff.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Local food.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you for your time. It's
Thank
been
you too
such
for
a
hosting.
pleasure chatting with you, and hopefully you can get adjusted to the spicy food
And the weather.
we have here in Accra. Well, thank you,
Thank you
and
so much.
enjoy your time in Accra.
Thank you too, and have a good afternoon.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Item 13, an Essence 13 production. If you like the show, please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. To keep up to date on news and events from Essence 13, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Essence and the number 13. Thank you.